let's start digging into perhaps more psychology and the things he's very famous for. And for that, we have here the Taking of Christ, which is, by the way, a very interesting painting because we have this in Dublin in the National Gallery of Ireland. Well, this is a very dramatic painting, once again, a scene from the Bible. This is the very moment where at the garden, the Roman soldiers are going to be taking away Christ after he receives the kiss on his cheek from Judas, which is exactly what's happening in here. So I'll tell you who each person is from left to right. On the left, we have John, the apostle, surprised and sort of asking for help because they're taking his master away. Then, of course, I'm sure you can see who Jesus is the one who is wearing the red robe with the blue garment. Judas is the one who is kissing away from him as if he's just given him the kiss of betrayal. And then the people in the armor are, of course, Roman soldiers, except in this painting, they are not depicted as Roman soldiers. They are depicted like the soldiers of the Renaissance that Caravaggio would be used to. So we often see these little, items of anachronism in these type of works of art. Well, what you see in here is actually very incredible, like the shine of the armor. This looks like actual metal in that sense. You can tell exactly where the light is, shining through. The very intensity of the scene, the range of emotions, the facial expressions are very thorough and well elaborated. And that is how Caravaggio connects with us once again by giving us something that any human being can relate to, which is emotion, or at least hopefully many of us should be able to relate to. Well, what makes this painting so successful is the very well developed skill of tenebrism. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with the term, let me explain. So tenebrism comes from the Italian word tenebroso, and tenebroso means something that is darkened or in obscurity. So what we normally associate with the concept of tenebrism in art is a very dark background to create a very stark contrast with the scene that is created and given extra dramatism by a point of light. In here, the point of light, I'm sure you can see it, is the little lantern. That was the word I was looking for. Sorry. I was going to say light bulb, and I was like, no, there were no light bulbs back then. It's the little lantern that the soldiers are actually holding and that uses to illuminate the rest of the scene in terms of guiding the direction of our view and the spectators, reaction to the painting. That is what tenebrism is, and this is really what Caravaggio becomes a master of. Very few people will reach the same skill that he creates in here, and he will become super influential for artists to come, including Rembrandt, who we will be seeing this time next week at this particular type of technique. Well, what is interesting about this painting, though, and as a little curiosity, is that it was actually lost for about 200 years, something like that, due to really bad inventory work. Sometimes we don't have precise names for, I'll say it, art pieces, because the artists normally don't name their pieces. It's the patrons or people who take stock of these paintings who give them a name to record them. Well, sometimes these things go completely mislabeled, and that's what happened here. It was just lost sight of until a senior conservator of the National Gallery of Ireland was doing an assessment somewhere, saw the painting, thought it was really familiar, decided to do some tests, and boom, it was indeed the lost Caravaggio. So, this only happened in the 90s, just so you are aware. So this can happen sometimes. It's not common, but it can happen sometimes.